Morning guys, welcome back to our channel. So I'm doing a long awaited video, I'm sure, because we've been away for a few weeks and it's been kind of crazy. First of all, let me address the elephant in the room. I look a state. I'm going with no makeup, my hair's a mess, getting it chopped off on Friday, must remember that. I'm so out of breath. I'm sitting in this shoddy bedroom. We've exchanged bedrooms with the girls and this is due to be decorated, hence why it's kind of empty. But neither here nor there. I've come to explain myself and where I've been because, oh my god, you can probably tell by the title of this video that we have had a very trialed and tested few weeks. It's been a little crackers, to say the least. And quite frankly, I'm about ready to sit in my cupboard with a glass of wine. So that's how it's happening. Right, don't really know where to start. Should we just kind of start at the top? At the top, let's go from the very top. So first thing that happened, we ended up with bed bugs. Best thing ever. Loved it. So this very lovely person, I'm not going to name any names, she is kind of family, not family. We thought she was a lovely person, turns out she's not. She brought the kids these teddies and bits and pieces, giant sized teddy. Thought, okay, looks a bit dirty, don't, you know, be polite. She brought that teddy in and Chloe was cuddling that teddy and she loved the teddy. I was bit reluctant. I wanted to put it in the washer, but she wouldn't let go of it. And she took it to bed with her and slept next to it. And the next day she had bites all over her face. I was like, oh my god, okay. Is it fleas? Has she brought fleas into the house? So took the teddy away, sorted the teddy out, put it away so she couldn't have it. Because in all fairness, we found out where it came from. I'm not going to say, but we found out where it came from. And I wasn't too best pleased, so we took that teddy away, much to the reluctancy of Chloe. Anyways, long story short, Chloe continued to get these bites on her. She had them on her face, she had them on her arms, and they were coming in little clusters. I was like, hang on a minute, I'm sure these look like what are bed bugs. Now, I've never dealt with bed bugs before. I never had them when I was growing up or anything like that, so I was just kind of going off like common knowledge that I had. And I looked into it. I went and looked at all their mattresses. I went and looked through the bedroom. Couldn't find anything to suggest there was bed bugs. So I was like, okay, fair enough. You know, we'll just leave it at that. Hoovered out all the bedroom, done what we need to do. Then a little while later, she came down again. She had all these bites across her jawline. They were on her arm. She said, Mum, they're really itchy. And Lily came running down the stairs and said, Mummy, there's these little bugs in my bed. Needless to say, I ran up the stairs, had a look, went through everything. One of the mattresses in my girl's bedroom had been gnawed through, and I thought, I'm sure that doesn't come with bed bugs. But then it turned out we did have bed bugs, which made my skin crawl. So I'm trying to get my head in the right place here and get it all in the straight line, how it all happened. But yeah, we ended up having bed bugs, and we had this other kind of bug that came with it. They were, I don't know, they carpet something, I don't know, carpet larva? I don't know, but it was disgusting and it literally made my skin crawl. So we cleared the bedroom, we threw all the mattresses away from upstairs. My garden literally looks like a dumping ground right now because I need to hire a van to get it all down to the tip and like just eradicated completely. But we took the bed frame down, we took it outside, we cleaned it all, we hoovered it all off. I literally anti-backed it into an inch of its life. I was using bleach spray and anti-back spray, anti-back wipes, you name it, I was using it. Did all that, got rid of the boys' bed frame, and yeah, so the boys ended up with new bunk beds. The girls ended up with their whole bedroom done. I decorated it all, scrubbed the carpets, did everything, had all this all this stuff that I was spraying into the carpets and everything. And touch wood, there's been nothing since. So that happened. That was mortifying. I know bed bugs aren't a dirty house kind of thing, but it makes me feel like that. It just made me feel really manky, if I'm honest with you. So we got all that sorted. Hence the massive change around in the house. Everywhere's being decorated. Everywhere's being cleaned within an inch of its life. So yeah, that all happened. Got that sorted. And then we went into this massive disaster of like just a linked chain of things that were happening one after the other. The kids are playing, you probably can hear them shouting and screaming at each other. I don't know what they're playing, but they're really screaming at each other. But yeah, one thing after another just kept coming. I literally felt like we had been cursed. And I still do, because it's not over yet. And I dread to think what's coming next. But so this one morning, we all got up really early. The kids were in their pajamas. Madison was in the high chair. And Madison had been down a couple of days with a bit of a fever, and I had a bit of an inkling that maybe she had an ear infection or something like that going on, because she'd had a bit of a sniffle and whatnot. And Kev was sitting with her and trying to get her to eat some porridge, because she was a bit reluctant to eat, so he was sitting with her trying to do that. Now, I vape, not the best thing in the world, don't advise it for anybody anywhere, but I do vape. But I don't vape around the kids. I don't like the kids seeing me do it. I don't like being anywhere near them where they could breathe it in. So I go outside the front door and I'll have that 5 minutes to myself. Now this particular morning, the girls were settled. They were sitting around watching morning TV. They'd had their breakfast. Kev was trying to feed Madison porridge. And I said to him, is it okay? Do you mind if I go outside? He said, no, fine. No worries. Go and do what you need to do. Literally, now this was the freakiest, is that even a word? It was just a mad few minutes. I went outside the front door, literally just clicked the door shut. Now, as I went outside the front door, Kev had finished feeding porridge to Madison, and he got up to take her bowl into the kitchen where she was sitting in the high chair. She was sitting in the high chair in the living room. And just as I clicked the front door shut, I turned around and I'd waved hi to my neighbours, and there was just this almighty bang. And now my first thought was, oh my God, something's exploded. Like, has the TV popped or something? And I flew through the door. And as I flew through the door, Kevin ran out of the kitchen door, and all I could see was the high chair on its side. So I had a coffee in my hand, and I just dropped the coffee and ran for the high chair. Now, bearing in mind, Madison was in the high chair. And my living room's at the back of the house as well. So hearing the bang the way that I heard it, you knew something was wrong. So basically what had happened, Kev had gone to the kitchen to put the bowl in the kitchen, and in that split second, one of our children, I'm not going to name which one it was because she feels so bad already. She was really distraught. She had moved the high chair. She was sliding the high chair across the living room up to the sofa so they could sit and play games with her on the tray of the high chair with her toys, because she'd been a bit grizzly. They were trying to help. And as she's moved it across the floor, her other sister has gone behind it and it's caught onto her and it's tipped over. And Madison, oh my Lord, Madison was strapped in. She'd come over the top, her arm had come out of the strap, and she'd gone over the top of the metal bar, and her head hit the floor at an impact. Now, bearing in mind that this high chair is like 3 foot high, so it was a fall from about 3 foot. Chloe's singing. And everybody freaked out. The kids were screaming. Kev completely freaked out. Now, Kev's quite level-headed in situations where he's needed. But when it comes down to the kids being hurt or ill, he goes into this massive panic. It's like he can't handle seeing his children hurt, which no parent can. Now, the kids were screaming, and the one that had pushed it across the room was shouting, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And she kept repeating it over and over. And I was trying to pay attention to everything, but I needed to get to Madison. So I kind of moved Kev out of the way and tried to pick her up as gently as I could, which was quite difficult because I was shaking like a leaf. but where she'd come out of the straps and gone over the metal bar had hit her straight into the ribs, and she'd very narrowly missed the corner cabinet that goes down next to our sofa. She very narrowly missed that with her head, so if she had hit that cabinet, it would have been 10 times worse. But I picked her up, and immediately her, let me think, which one was it? Her left eye started to swell straight away, and it was all across here, all across her eyebrow. It was all swollen. I thought, oh my God, okay, what do I do? Everybody was screaming. The kids were screaming. There was floods of tears. My husband was in a panic. He kept shouting, it's my fault, it's my fault, I shouldn't have left her, I shouldn't have left her. And I said to him, but look, it's happened, let's just deal with it. But there was so much noise, and Madison was screaming. She didn't go unconscious, which I'm thankful for. I thought, I need to get her out of the room. There's too much commotion, too much noise. I need to get out of the room. It's making her scream more. Now, any mum knows, if you panic, baby panics. So I took her into the kitchen, just closed the door, and rang for an ambulance. Now, I was a bit shocked at the ambulance service. The kids are really screaming at each other. I was a bit shocked at the ambulance service. I rang them. I was trying to talk to them through Madison screaming, and I kept having to repeat myself because I was shaking so much. My voice was shaking, and he couldn't understand what I was saying. I was trying my hardest to be as calm as I could be. Now, when I had hold of Madison, every time I touched her ribs, she screamed. And I thought, oh my God, has she broken her ribs? Her eyes swelling, has she broken her ribs? She had burn marks across her torso where she had been in the straps. But I went through all the procedured questions that they ask you, you know, is there any blood? Is there any, you know, is she unconscious? Is she breathing okay? All of that. Went through all of that, and he said to me, he said, now, I've got what was he said? He said to me, I've got a shortage of ambulances, which I was really shocked at. I was like, oh my God, really? Sorry, interrupted as always. Yeah, so there was no ambulances available, and he said to me, if you can get her to the hospital faster, that is ideal, because by the time an ambulance does get to you, it could be far worse. So at that point, I was just like, okay, get off the phone, let me call somebody. Now, my mum, her partner had already gone to London, so he wasn't available with a car. My sister's moved away, so she wasn't there. My other sister lives too far away, she wouldn't get here on time. And our nearest hospital is around about 20 to 30 minutes away from us. So I rang a taxi service that we usually use, and she heard that something was wrong, and I said to her, look, there's been a head injury with my baby. I need to get to the hospital now. Can you send me the nearest taxi? And this taxi man, I could never fault him. He was absolutely amazing. He was here within 2-3 minutes. And normally a taxi, they'll wait outside. You'll get a text message on your phone, and they'll wait outside for you to come out. This time, he didn't. He literally jumped out of his car, banged on the door, and said, I'm here to help. And at this point, Dylan had flew down the stairs. Now, bearing in mind, this happened literally within 10-15 minutes. All of this kind of accumulated to, at most, a 15-minute time frame. Dylan came flying down the stairs to help. Bella came flying down the stairs to help. And luckily, we had her buggy and her car seat all in kind of one place because we'd been out already the day before. So I got her into the buggy. She'd calmed down at this point. But the car seat, I'd put her in the car seat. The car seat attaches to the buggy frame. And Dylan, the taxi man took the buggy frame, and Dylan was helping. And at this point, it was torrential rain outside. It was so bad. Everywhere was flooded. Our garden was waterlogged. It was just absolutely crackers how much rain we had in that one moment. And I was in my pajamas. Only one of us could go with her. Kevin, never seen him get dressed that fast in my life. In my life, never seen him get that dressed that fast. Normally it's, you know, hair, skincare, clothes, all of that. None of that. He just shoved his clothes on and he was ready to go. And the closest thing I had, I didn't have time to pull out rain covers and everything like that. The closest thing I had was my coat, which was hanging up, and I just kind of threw it over the top of the car seat and ran out into the rain. And we were absolutely soaked. Dylan, my 15-year-old, he ran out the door. He was in a shorts and t-shirt. It just didn't matter at that point. We got her in the car really quick. Putting a car seat in and strapping it all in the seatbelt whilst you're shaking, it's not easy. It really isn't easy. I was trying my best to just be calm and gathered, but it was so difficult. Kev jumped straight in the car and they got there so fast. I can imagine for him being next to her, it would have been like a lifetime, that journey from here to the hospital. But they were off and gone within a couple of minutes. And let me tell you, there's being in the hospital with your child, just your child being hurt, that is one of the worst things in the world. But sitting at home, waiting to hear as a mother, it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I didn't know what to do. I kept texting Kev, I kept ringing him, you know, and when he wasn't answering his phone, it was like, oh my God, okay, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. The kids sat down and they were watching Christmas movies, and at that point the house just seemed so silent, and I just sat waiting. And yeah, I do vape, and I think I vaped a ridiculous amount that morning because I didn't know what else to do. And yes, it did make me sick, so I don't advise it. But eventually I got a phone call from Kev. I'm saying eventually, but this was literally, it happened so fast, but it felt like such a long time. And he said, we're here, we've been taken into triage. They didn't hesitate, they took her straight into triage. They checked her all over, they put her on a heart monitor. She was being watched because at this point she was drowsy and she was going to sleep. So they wanted to keep a really close eye on her. And they called for the doctor. The doctor came round, he checked her all over. He said, yes, she does have a concussion. Naturally, she's hit her head. Her ribs, at that point, she wasn't screaming when he touched her ribs. It was more of a discomfort. So he was pretty certain that she'd just bruised around her rib cage, which is bad anyway. You know, we don't want that to be happening to an 8-month-old little girl. They were reluctant to do any x-rays, given the fact, obviously, she is only 8 months old and you don't want to expose her to that radiation unless there is a dire need for it. And they didn't feel like it was too much of a, you know, problematic thing at that time to do that. And I respect that. He knew what he was doing. He was very thorough. He was pediatrics, obviously. He gave Kev a whole load of information, which we are not estranged to, because we have a million kids and yeah, they're really fast on their feet, and hitting their heads is something that they do more often than enough, and literally like to make me go bald, because that's what's going to happen. I'm going to lose all of my hair through the stress of it. They've aged me, I tell you. But he seemed to be more concerned that she had this ear infection that was making her very poorly as well. And he said that he thought she had a chest infection as well. Now, she'd had the sniffles and a fever coming up to this, and I did suspect it, so we weren't quite that surprised. And they diagnosed her with that and gave Kev a prescription for antibiotics. So they let her come home. He said, I'm happy for her to go home. You will have an open window should you need to come back, so they will keep it on the system so everybody knows what's what and what's gone on should she need immediate care. We were told to watch her for 24 to 48 hours to make sure that there was nothing that came of it. Obviously, she was going to have a fever anyway because of the infection that she had going on, but anything out of the ordinary, you know, standard kind of care for a head injury. So he was happy for her to come home. Now, Kevin went to the pharmacist in the hospital. That was closed because this was a Saturday, so he couldn't get the antibiotics there. Now, normally, when on a Saturday, we have a shop called Boots, where they have a pharmacy in there that's open till about noon. So he thought, right, I'll get her home, I'll have her, Kev will go and get the antibiotics. So he brought her home. Obviously, I was more than pleased to see her. Couldn't squeeze her lightly, obviously, because she was sore, but couldn't squeeze her enough because this is my baby, you know. And that time frame of her being in the hospital, me not being with her, was just hell in itself. But I sat with her. The kids were really happy to see her. I had a lot of tears off the other kids because they were so frightened something had really badly happened to her. So I had to sit and assure all of them that she was okay. Kev then ran straight to the shop to go and get the antibiotics from the pharmacy. He got there, it was all closed up. They said, oh no, we don't have it open on a Saturday anymore, we've changed that. Now this was a Saturday. She was really poorly with his ear infection and chest infection. We had to wait until Monday morning to get antibiotics, which is just a joke for a baby. It was shocking, but the hospital couldn't give us the antibiotics themselves. It had to go through a pharmacy. So I stayed up with her that night, the Saturday night, because one, she had a head injury and I was so scared to leave her. Two, I had to keep her propped up to aid her breathing because she was so chesty and you could hear the chest infection. It was just, it got worse. It got progressively worse. And then same with Sunday night, I just stayed with her. So I didn't sleep those 2 nights. If anything, I kind of nodded and dozed a little bit whilst I was sitting with her. So we were kind of camping out in the sitting room. We have a sofa bed in our corner sofa. There's a pull-out sofa bed. So that came in really handy. Monday morning came round. Kevin literally at the crack of dawn went out the house, gone and got the antibiotics, brought them back, got them into her straight away, and just kind of, you know, went to our usual thing. Needless to say, the high chair is not my favourite place at all right now. She does go in a high chair. The girls will not touch the high chair now because they're so scared it's going to happen again. But yeah, so she was okay, thankfully. Thankfully, she was fine. She did have some swelling for a little while around her eye. Am I on the right side? No, this side. This is your left, isn't it? Oh my lord. Yeah, she had some bruising, swelling around here for a little while. She had a little kind of pink bruise, but that healed itself quite quickly. And we were just so thankful she was all right. It literally scared the living daylights out of us. Don't recommend it to anyone. I really don't. But that happened. And we were getting back to normal over Monday. And then all of a sudden, Darcy and Harper came down with these really high temperatures. They had no other symptoms to start off with. We thought, okay, it's a bit random. All they wanted to do was lie around. They didn't want to eat anything. They didn't want to drink anything, which was concerning. And there was lots and lots of tears. So we give them usual Calpol or children's ibuprofen every 2 hours and kept them, you know, tried to keep their temperatures down, which was quite difficult. And we thought, okay, this is really odd. There's no other symptoms going on. And then it was Darcy started first complaining about her legs hurting. And we thought, okay, maybe she's coming down with like a cold, flu or something and she's achy. But then Harper started complaining about her legs hurting. And Darcy kept saying, it feels like there's glass in my legs, Mummy. It hurts, it hurts. I thought, okay, what the hell could this be? And then they started coughing. And there was sniffles and headaches. And I thought, okay, pains in the legs, headaches. And Kev said to me, isn't pain in the legs a symptom of COVID? I thought, okay, we've got some tests. Let's just test them. We'll see, you know, hopefully it's not. Let me tell you, testing for COVID on a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old is not my favourite. I had to hold them in a position to get it into their nose. They really need to find a different way to test children because it is traumatic. It is horrible. Harper didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just shoving this thing up her nose. And I was trying my best to be calm with them and talk them through it, but it was just horrible. But we did it, and sure enough, they were both positive. Not my favourite. Not my favourite. I was really worried. Kev was really worried. And we're like, oh my God, okay, what do we do from here? So we just kind of kept up with medication, tried to keep them cool. They didn't want to eat anything. I kept kind of waving their juice cups. They've got like a straw in their juice cup. I was waving it in front of their faces, trying to get them to drink fluids, just to keep their fluids up. And there was just a whole lot of crying and sleeping, and they were so poorly, bless them. It was horrible. Now, all my other kids have been vaccinated. Obviously, Harper and Darcy are 3 and 4, so they're too young to get it. Darcy is coming up for 5, so I don't know whether to get it, her vaccination straight away when she's 5 or wait a little while. I don't know, but they've already had it, so they will be building antibodies because they've had it. I think you have to wait like 3 months after you've had it to get vaccinated anyway. But they had that. That was awful. Obviously, at this point, Madison was still taking the antibiotics, and everything that she had on her chest, it was all coming out. So we just didn't sleep. There was no sleep at this point. We just kept going. You can probably tell by me handbags under here that we have just not slept for, oh God, I don't even know how long now. I really don't know how long. But we got through that, and they started to feel a little better. They started to play a bit more, and they were getting on with their normal stuff. Still had the fevers though. We couldn't get rid of the fevers. Sounds like they're arguing over a toy. They will deal with it. Kev's with them, by the way. They're not on their own. Kev is with them. But then Chloe came down poorly, and she kept saying, "Mummy, I've got a headache." I thought, oh no, okay, so it's spreading through the house. Everybody's going to come down with COVID. What do I do? I can't quarantine kids to bedrooms. It's just, I just wouldn't. They're too young to understand it. But Chloe got on well, and I did a COVID test on her. It came up negative. So, okay, she hasn't got COVID. Maybe I'm testing too early, so maybe I'll test in a couple of days. Then she came down really unwell, and she was saying, "Mummy, I can't breathe." And she started barking. She clearly had croup. And now Chloe's had croup pretty much every single year since she was born. It's a common occurrence with her. They suspect she has asthma. I've been told it's too early to diagnose asthma. She is only 6. Now, when she's had croup in the past, we've had an incident where she stopped breathing altogether. That was scary, so scary. I lay her down for a nap one day. It was during the day. I went to go and check on her, and she just wasn't breathing at all. It was the scariest thing in the whole world. We immediately got an ambulance. She was taken in. She was admitted to the hospital. They had her on oxygen. They were giving her steroids, and she was kept there for a while. That's happened a couple of times. So now we kind of expect it. We've got all the information that we need to do. The doctor always advises that whether it's day or night, we take her outside to get some of the damp air into her, because obviously we're coming into winter, and it's always around this time of year that it happens. So she came down with croup. She was really barking, and her breathing sounded really laboured. So I did all the things that we were told to do. I had a humidifier in the room to dampen the air. Didn't seem to be doing anything. I took her outside. Now, bearing in mind, this is like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm stood outside in the garden, wrapped up in our coats, trying to get her to breathe properly. And she kept saying to me, "Mummy, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working." And every time she tried to talk to me, she was running out of breath to get her sentences out. And she was getting really glazy-eyed, and it looked like she was going to pass out. And my husband at this point was asleep. I hadn't been to sleep. It's becoming a regular thing not to sleep now. But I woke my husband up and I said, "Look, we need to get some help. She can't breathe." Now, I have an oxy monitor in the house, so I can monitor her oxygen levels, as I did with the girls when they had COVID. And I put that on her, and her oxygen levels were only 91%. Now, oxygen levels are advised not to go below 95%. So 91% was concerning to me. Majorly concerning. And she was really crying. You could see it in her face, but she couldn't talk to me because she didn't have a breath. So I rang the ambulance service. Oh no, that's a lie. I rang the 111 out of hours service, and I said to them, "Look, this is going on. She needs some intervention is there a doctor available for me to come and see, because they usually give her steroids to open up her airway. But he said no, her oxygen levels are too low, we need an ambulance. So we sat and we waited. They actually told me to go outside and wait for the ambulance and greet them. So my husband sat with Chloe and kept her upright and elevated like they told us to do. And an ambulance car turned up about an hour later. They did not rush. It wasn't an ambulance van, it was an ambulance car. He came in and he immediately gave her some dexamethasone, which I assume is a steroid, I'm not really sure, but he gave her 4 milligrams of that. And within 10 minutes, her throat had opened up. He said that all her throat was swollen, and that's why she couldn't breathe. At this point, her oxygen levels were 90%. He stayed with us. He was in this house for about 3 hours. It was his last stop of the night, and I think that really influenced how he handled it. Don't get me wrong, he was a lovely gentleman. He tended to her the way that he's supposed to. But when you're given dexamethasone, from what he had told us, you are supposed to be seen by a paediatric doctor, should you be a child, within a 4-hour window. He was really reluctant to take her to the hospital. He kept saying to us, if I get an ambulance in, it's going to take about 4 hours, and there's just no point. There's no point. You need to go and speak to a GP. And we were really quite confused as to why he wouldn't take her in, given the fact that her oxygen levels were low, her reps were high, her heart rate was ridiculous, and she had a fever. We administered medicine while he was here, so he saw us and he made a note of that to bring her temperature down. But she was really poorly and he was really reluctant to take her into the hospital. And he kept repeating himself that this was the last of his shift. He was going to go home. He's really tired. He literally gave us his life story, which was odd. And he just stood about talking, and we're both like, hang on, hold on a minute. She needs help here. Are you going to do anything? And he kept saying to us, no, ring the out-of-hours service. She needs to see a doctor within the 4-hour window to see if she needs any more steroid intervention and to check up on her SATs. This was a laughable situation. We were so shocked at what was going on. But we called the out-of-hours service. They said, we'll have a doctor call you. The paramedic left. Didn't want to do anything else. He left. And now, bear in mind, we were supposed to be seen in this 4-hour window, so she would have needed to be seen by 8 o'clock in the morning. We waited and waited and waited. I sat with Chloe. I helped her every way that I could. The doctor then didn't call until about lunchtime. And I spoke to this doctor and she said, I don't understand. I'm looking at her file. I'm seeing what they've done. Why did he not take her to the hospital? I said, well, this is the thing. He was reluctant to do so. And he was so concerned that it was the end of his shift and he wanted to go home to bed. And I was really annoyed at this point. And she said, no, she needs to go to hospital. You need to call an ambulance. Ladies and gentlemen, every time you call an ambulance now, there's none available. So we were like, hang on, okay, so you want us to call an ambulance to get her help, but we're then being told there's no ambulances. So what do we do here? So the GP at our surgery said, bring her down. So we took her down. GP said, oh no, she's just got something viral. She doesn't need anything. She's fine. Hang on a minute. My daughter is struggling to breathe. And this is an ongoing situation. She's struggling to breathe. Nobody will help us. Nobody will give her what she needs. My husband then went into a pharmacist and said, is there anything that I can give to my daughter that will help her, because the doctors will not do anything? And even the pharmacist turned around and said to my husband, she should be on an inhaler or have steroids to ease her breathing. Now this is the pharmacist, which cannot give us anything without a doctor's word. This has gone on for days. Thankfully, she is getting better and the croup is buggering off. But she has spent days crying and sobbing that she can't breathe, and nobody, despite us arguing with them, will do anything about it. But even with her history, even with her history of being admitted into the hospital, her oxygen levels in the past, they were still really reluctant to do anything. And it was really frustrating, really frustrating, watching her struggle to breathe and nobody would help. So at the moment, I've lost a whole lot of faith in the NHS. I really have. So short-staffed, it is absolutely ridiculous at this point. So that's my rant. That's my rant of this video. But as for now, Chloe is doing a whole lot better. Thankfully, I have inhalers in the house should it get really bad, which I don't really want to give her because they're not prescribed to her. But I feel like at this point, what are we supposed to do? It's either a misdiagnosis from these people or they're just reluctant to do anything, because it's all about money, it's all about the staff shortages, and who wants to go home because they've been overworked? So it's absolutely shocking. So we had that, and like I say, it's still ongoing. Her oxygen levels thankfully are okay now, but she still is unwell, and all of the girls are still having the odd spike in fever here and there. And Harper and Darcy, now that they're negative for COVID, we felt like maybe there was something else going on. We took them to the doctors, again, reluctant to do anything. Oh, just give them Calpol, they'll be fine. Okay, so they've got these fevers of like 39, 40, which is, I think in Fahrenheit is about 103, 104. And you don't even want to look to see if they've got an infection or anything. Brilliant, fantastic. So it's not until somebody is really badly ill that you can get any kind of care. It's just, it piddled me off, to say the least. But thankfully they are on the mend, and you can hear them probably playing. I don't know what they're playing. They're playing with dolls and stuff, so it's really loud anyway. But then Lily came down with croup, and Dylan came down unwell. We COVID tested him. He came up positive. So that's all going really well. He isn't as bad. He's had COVID before and he is vaccinated, but he's literally just had a bit of a sniffle and a cough and a slight fever, but he's okay, so that's good. But then this morning my husband woke up and he wasn't feeling well, so I was like, oh, okay. I feel like we're going on a merry-go-round of COVID and illnesses and all things that could go wrong. On other things, we've had a financial fall because Kevin's business kind of works around how the weather is, and because the weather's been so bad, he's had like a drop in work. So financially, everything's going down the sink, we'll put it that way. Yeah, so it's going really good. Literally just going to get in a cupboard with a glass of wine and just sit there. I might even rock backwards and forwards at this point. It's also stressful. It's also stressful. As for my channel going forward, I don't know what my video schedule is going to be like. Everybody needs me at the moment. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs mum. So I just don't have time for anything. Even sitting here, I've kind of left my husband in the middle of everything. I'm like, I just need to film one video. Can I just leave you with the kids for just for now? He's sat in the middle of a mess because he's busy. We're going through all the kids' clothes and trying to like work our way over to colder, you know, like winter wear. So he's sat in the middle of all of that. He's trying to do that, which I've kind of left him with, and he hasn't got a clue what he's doing, bless him, because as much as I don't want to say it, it is a woman's job because we know it better. So yeah, I've got a cold coffee. Brilliant. And I feel like I do this a lot now. Sarcastically, obviously. Yeah. So it's just been one thing after another. I feel like I'm missing something out. What am I missing out? I don't know what I'm missing out. I've got 1,000,001 repairs to do around the house as well. The bathroom, randomly, the bathroom toilet has detached from the floor and is rocking backwards and forwards. That's a good one. So I have to sort that out. I had to postpone the electrician coming in because of COVID. So I've got electrics that need fixing. Yeah. So everything that can go wrong is going wrong. And I feel like time is just not on my side right now. Yesterday even we needed, where did we need to go yesterday? Oh, it was another doctor's appointment yesterday, another one, trying to get somebody to do something. And I tried to withdraw money and I couldn't because the bank had gone down and nobody could access any of their money. So that was good. That was brilliant when you needed to get food and travel and everything, and the bank had gone down. So that kind of topped off my day. Oh, and that's another one. Somebody hacked into one of my online accounts and my family started getting really random, nasty messages from they thought it was me. They thought it was me sending these really nasty, awful messages. I'm not going to say what they said because it is really obscene, but everybody thought they were coming from me, and I was like, hang on, no, I don't even use that account anymore. They're not me. That's not me. Please don't respond to them because it is not me. So yeah, I had all that hacked into, which was brilliant. It's all sorted now, but it was just another stressful moment that could have caused like an uproar in the family, people thinking that I was being horrible. So somehow they'd managed to get hold of everybody's phone numbers. Brilliant. Really loved it. Particularly my auntie. My auntie, look at the state of me. I mean, what even is this? Yeah, particularly my auntie, she got some really nasty messages. And I was like, no, please, it's not me. It is not me. So yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. I apologise for the state of me. I can't wait to get this cut off. I'm cutting it off on Friday. I've got to remember it's Friday. I keep saying Saturday. Yeah, Friday I've got my friend coming around to cut my hair. I'm going to cut it short. Just give me a little bit of an easier job in the mornings because it's not that long, but my hair's really thick and naturally really curly. And it's a pain in the backside to deal with. So when it's shorter, it's just a lot easier. So I'm going to do that. I feel like I'm looking really old at the moment as well because I'm just so tired and so pale. That's an interesting face, isn't it? But yeah, so it's all going wrong, which I can imagine so many people are going through worse situations than I am, but I'm sure you can relate one way or another. It's just a pain in the backside, and I'm quite ready for it to blow over and to get on with Christmas. And that's another thing, my Christmas decorations are up. Yes, they are. It is November and my Christmas decorations are up because I felt like we all needed a little bit of excitement and a little bit of light, you know, some colourful lights, some gold and some blue and some reindeers hanging here and there, you know. Just felt like we needed it. So yes, they are up. Am I sorry? No, I am not. We all spend so much money on decorations. Why not enjoy them for a couple of months rather than just one? I know some people that don't even put up the decorations until like 2 or 3 days before Christmas. I mean, like, what is that about? No, that was a double chin moment. Oh wow. Oh god, yeah, definitely double chin. We're not going to talk about my weight. We're not going to talk about that because that just makes me miserable. Yeah, that's another issue for another day. Anyway, I'm going to end this video because it's like 45 minutes long. I'm so sorry that I talked your ear off. And if you made it to the end of this video, then well done you. Yeah, it's been a long one. And like I said, I'm going to go find a cupboard to go and sit in. Because I feel like that there's more sanity sitting in a cupboard than there is out here. Oh, I love you all. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your coffee. Mine's cold. I'm not going to heat it up because this is a paper cup. I'm going to drink it cold. It's going to be yummy. I love you all. I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye for now.